All right, welcome back to the show as we've calmed down considerably here in a matter of moments. Todd Culp, our guest, who's running for Madison County Auditor. He's been a deputy to Rick Gardner for many years, and he's unopposed in the general because he won a ferocious primary and now has no opponent. The Democrats are unable to fill their full slate. But it's an important post, and you need to know what his philosophy is because it's the job, a county auditor job, currently held by Rick Gardner, where you watch the money, you watch the spending, you keep your eyes on the bean counting. So hello, Todd Culp.
Good morning, Mitch. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's see. You got the wrong mic there, do you? Is there another silver mic? Or I don't know what's going on. No, go ahead and do it again with that other mic.
Good morning, Mitch.
No, now try it. Somebody vandalized the board.
Good morning, Mitch.
Now you're good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
People
today.
do vandalize the board when I'm gone, but no one ever gets caught. But yes, you had a ferocious primary. You came through it. You come from a political family. Your wife is on the city council, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And your son is running for?
My son is running. It surprises me, but he's running for county council this year.
Jonathan Culp. So, hey, it's just in the blood, I guess, huh? Just the genetic pattern. But your philosophy as an auditor, it's important to know where the money's going and for department heads and other officers to be able to come to you and say, well, how much do we have and so forth. Or sheriffs, I think especially. So what's your philosophy about that?
I tell you, the auditor is a very important function in county government. It's also one of the more boring offices that are misunderstood. But if you think about the auditor, they are the chief financial officer of the county. And the county council, who makes all the appropriations for budgets and things, rely on that chief financial officer to tell them the financial state and explain revenues and just kind of keep the council on track fiscally. So.
And right now, I know there's like a general fund, isn't there? Do we have a rainy day fund, or is there
we do. Rick Gardner has really been pushing to expand the rainy day fund. We started at $36,000, I think, in 2018, and we're up to $17 million right now in the rainy day fund.
Oh, really? What's the rule of thumb on that? How much do you want to have in there?
Generally, you want to have 25% of your major operating funds, and I would consider that your general fund and your public safety fund combined.
Well, that compares to the Great Recession of like 2010 in the city of Anderson, where I heard they had at one point $100,000 in the bank, which is like having $2.
That's right, yeah.
So you have $17 million in the county.
Yes, $17 million in reserves.
And I'm sure you would have politicians who would want that for a variety of programs. And
absolutely. We hear it all the time. When you're fiscal conservative, the things that you hear is, well, you're doing this on the back of the employees. But generally, these people want money, want significant raises, want more employees, want to spend more money. Okay, but you can only spend what's recurring. So if you think about the last couple of years, interest rates have gone up. So we're collecting a lot of interest. Our treasurer, Dan Gert's, done an exceptional job investing, and he's collecting roughly $5 million a year in interest. But if you notice what happened in September, the Fed lowered that rate, and it's going to keep lowering. So you can't budget on all that money coming in. If you do, you're going to add employees, add raises, and then that money's going to dry up, and then you can no longer fund your budget.
Okay, so you sound like a pay-as-you-go guy. I mean, we either have the money, or we're going to get the money, or we don't.
Right.
Well, that's good. I mean, you've got the city of Chicago. They don't have any money to pay the teachers, but the mayor supports, along with the union, borrowing $300 million with interest, and so the entire city school board of Chicago resigned. I mean, you're not doing that stuff.
No, not at all.
But you're not in a rich county either. I mean, our per capita income for individuals is like $24,000, so we're like third poorest in the state.
Right. We don't have a high tax base. You know, especially when you look at our neighbor Hamilton County, they bring in tons of money, and we're not in that position. We can't pay like they do, and our taxpayers couldn't afford to pay like they do.
No, it would never go here where we could subsidize like a building or a sports complex. Nobody would want to subsidize anything if it couldn't pay for itself. And I've lived in markets where they did that, and people didn't care. But, I guess they had so much money they didn't care. But here, no. There's no extra money for stuff like that, is there?
No, there's not. And I think in our tax base, you got to plan, and you got to plan way ahead, okay? So if you think about the even like the cumulative bridge rate, we've been encouraging the commissioners to raise that rate slowly over the last several years. What we'd like to see is that it eventually go up to the 10 cents per $100 on assessed value. That's the maximum, the cum bridge rate. And right now we're at 0.75, so we got 0.25 to go. But what that does is it puts money in that cum bridge fund so that when you need money to repair a bridge or replace a bridge, then you have something
You've
to
got
start
some money.
with. Yeah.
Well, candidate Fred Reese said in the paper this morning that public safety tax was used for pay raises. Often, if there's extra money coming in with this COVID money, or there's money, people grab it, and the tendency is to give it to raises for employees. He said that was the original intent of that public safety tax. Any thoughts on that?
I do have thoughts on that. At that time that the public safety tax passed, I really didn't like how it was set up. I mean, even back then, we could tell that we were going to be having troubles with central dispatch and funding it. We knew there were some squabbles with the mayor of Elwood and the mayor of Alexandria not wanting to pay their share anymore of the central dispatch. So at that time, Rick Gardner and I tried to encourage the council, instead of bumping the public safety tax like they did, maybe increase the or implement the PSAP tax, which would have been 0.1 of that, and then do the rest in public safety. That would have freed up money for Madison County, for Anderson, for Elwood, for Alexandria, but the council didn't decide to go that way at that time.
I get a lot of calls about a morgue. I'm told that we don't have a really state-of-the-art morgue the way we do it. I know you're not involved in policy or legislative stuff. Any thoughts on that at all?
Sure, yeah, I definitely have opinions. So,
well, good.
And since you asked me,
we like that.
I'll be glad to share it. I don't think there's any need for a morgue. If you think about the Donahue family, they were coroners for years, and they used the relationships with funeral homes and the hospitals to perform that service. The idea of spending, possibly millions of dollars to build a morgue is kind of senseless, in my opinion, if you develop community partners that we've always had with the hospitals and funeral homes, and you can perform that function without that.
Well, some people are hearing this saying, well, how do we do it without a morgue? I mean, how do they?
We've always done it without a morgue, and what they do is they transport bodies to the hospital, then autopsies are performed in the hospital, and then the bodies are released to the funeral home.
Oh, I see. So you don't think we have a need for it at all?
No, I don't. Not if we have a good coroner.
Well, do you know where, looking over the years, in terms of auditors, if money's been wasted or money's been squandered, where did it happen?
I think that it's not so much that money's been wasted or squandered. It's that not enough attention to detail was placed on the financial health of the county. And I think when Rick Gardner came into office 8 years ago, I mean, he focused intensely on that financial arrangement. Of course, he came from the county council, so he knew how little information that he was getting on the council, and he wanted to turn that on its heels and give the council all the information about the financial
An accurate
status.
Bean count of how much there is.
Exactly.
Well, we'll come back. Todd Culp, fascinating conversation with the man who wants to be the Madison County auditor in the election here in November.